I'm calling it right here and right now. Today, at the time that I'm recording this, 10:14 p.m. on March 12th, the Minnesota Vikings are officially my dark horse candidate to win the Super Bowl next season after signing Kyler Murray to a $1.4 million 1-year deal today. I think that we have focused so much on players like Justin Jefferson and Jordan Addison and Aaron Jones and TJ Hawkinson and players within that offense, right? And I understand Kyler is now going to be the potential starting quarterback now walking into that situation. But I think we forget the fact that Minnesota Vikings defense, on paper, if you look at the numbers from last year, was a top 3 rated defense within the NFL. They were top 2 in passing defense last year. They let up some of the least amount of yards throughout the air last year. And really, when you're looking at their free agent losses from this year, their only real big-time loss on the defensive end is Javon Hargrave at the defensive tackle position, which, yes, is a substantial loss. But they still were able to maintain virtually all of their secondary from last year, outside of veteran and Harrison Smith, who was kind of at the end road of his career anyways. They were still able to keep a guy like Byron Murphy in that. And they were able to hold on to still a younger guy in Dallas Turner, who was tied for second in forced fumbles last year, forced a lot of big-time turnovers there. Not to mention the fact that they still have a top 20 pick in this year's upcoming draft. And in the situation that they're in, they are in a really good spot to go out and potentially fill a hole that they need either offensively or defensively. If they want to potentially get one of the top 3 wide receivers within this draft to fill the hole that Jalen Nailor now leaves in that slot, possibly Jordan Tyson from Arizona State, especially with a lot of injury concerns, could definitely see Jordan Tyson falling to number 18. If they want to take one of the interior guard offensive linemen, like the guy from Penn State, who I cannot even bring myself to pronounce his last name at this moment, and fill him in at the center position to replace the retired Ryan Kelly, they can 100% do that. If they want to go out and get one of the top corners, especially Avion Terrell, who I think will be there at number 18, one of the top 3 corners in a very, very deep corner class this year, they could 100% go out and fill out some more of their cornerback positions to strengthen that secondary even more. This Minnesota Vikings team is for real. And I know that there are a lot of people that are super, super down on Kyler right now. They're super down on him because of his injury history. They're even super down on him because of his line of play. But what I say to you guys is, what did you realistically expect to happen? Even with the pretty solid talent in Kyler Murray and who he was coming out of the draft, the Arizona Cardinals have been a poverty franchise for a very, very long time at this point. Yes, they've been able to sprinkle in, a playoff appearance or two. They had that one season with Kyler Murray where he led them to an 8-0, 9-0 record before they ended up falling off and dropping out of the playoffs. But the point being is that has been a team that has lacked defensive continuity for forever. That has been a team that from the last time that I can remember, for the last 5 to 8 years, has really, really struggled to fill out an entire offensive line. A team that has really, really struggled to get their quarterback outside of maybe 1 or 2 weapons. And as far as Kyler Murray's play is concerned, we know that he is still a Pro Bowl, an all-pro potentially level type of quarterback. He is a rookie of the year type winning quarterback. He can put up statistics and numbers like that. And when they gave him weapons, when they put him in place to actually go out and make plays, we saw what he did with the guy in DeAndre Hopkins. When you look at his statistics when he's playing full-time seasons, in 2020, he played 16 full games, 26 touchdowns, 12 interceptions, almost 4,000 yards throughout the air. In 2024, when he played a full season, 17-17, nearly 4,000 yards, 21 touchdowns, and 11 interceptions. So he's not a quarterback that actually realistically makes a ton of mistakes. Yes, he does, leave his feet a ton and runs a lot. But that's really just his play style. That's who he's always been, and especially with him being a much smaller quarterback and having difficulty reading defenses with his lack of height at times over the line. That is more of a insurance measure for him to not run into those mistakes throughout the air because he cannot see those reads. So overall, I think that you're plugging him into a really, really talented offense. You got to remember, you have Justin Jefferson, you have Jordan Addison. That is probably a top 5 to 6 wide receiver duo within the league, especially if Jordan Addison can stay healthy and fix some of his off-the-field issues. They just restructured the deal for Aaron Jones at the running back spot, who, even though he is aging, has still been able to put up some consistent yardage when he is healthy. He got hurt last year as well. And even with that, they have Jordan Mason, who is Aaron Jones' backup, who posted over 700 yards last year. You have TJ Hawkinson at the tight end spot. You still have a pretty solid offensive line, and not to mention the fact that you have a very, very creative mind, offensive mind, by the way, and Kevin O'Connell, who will change up his offense to fit Kyler Murray's play style. I'm sorry. I love Jonathan Gooden as a defensive coordinator for the Philadelphia Eagles, especially that year that they were able to make it to the Super Bowl. But again, are we really surprised that the partnership between Jonathan Gooden and Kyler Murray for the Arizona Cardinals did not work out, that partnership sapped some of Kyler's play and his confidence on the field? I mean, I remember when Gooden was first introduced as the head coach. Do you guys remember that video on the Cardinals social media where he was like roaming the entire building, calling out Kyler's name and looking for him and calling, and then they had that first interaction with each other? It was just, it was awkward. It wasn't natural at all. It didn't look like they had any organic chemistry from head coach to quarterback. I was going to say play caller to quarterback, but obviously Gooden was defensive minded. Kevin O'Connell is a guy who has dealt a lot with quarterbacks in his life. He's been underneath some very experienced and very successful head coaches. Ron Rivera, he was the offensive coordinator for Sean McVay for a year. He was a quarterbacks coach over in Washington. He knows how to work with these quarterbacks throughout the passing game. And yes, while his strategy and his coaching play style, especially with J.J. McCarthy and, even with Kirk Cousins, has been known to be a lot more under center, and Kyler normally does a lot of his best work out of the shotgun, I have no worry when it comes to Kevin O'Connell potentially adjusting the offense to fit what Kyler needs. And Kyler has also worked a little bit more under center over the past year under offensive coordinator Drew Petzing. So he's gotten used to that style of play anyways. Sure, he maybe has not put in his best work, but that was only in 5 games of action last year before he ended up getting hurt. The big thing for Kyler really is coming off of that injury. I have really no concerns about his confidence. I really have no concerns about his drive at all, because him being on a $1.4 million deal for 1 year and still potentially being thrusted into a quarterback competition against J.J. McCarthy, which I think he will easily defeat J.J. in a QB competition, but that is going to give motivation to him in his zone. That is going to motivate him. This is a make it or break it year for Kyler Murray. This is a prove it year for Kyler Murray. No matter what he wants to say in his press conference about how every year is a prove it year, it really is a prove it year for him. He has to prove that he can work in one of the most talented offenses in the league, and that he can elevate one of the top offenses in the league, because if he can't do that, that's probably the end of the road for him, at least as a starting quarterback within the NFL. If you can't make this work with Kevin O'Connell, a solid offensive line, 2 solid running backs in the backfield, TJ Hawkinson, Justin Jefferson, Jordan Addison, and a top 3 level type defense, then I don't really know where we go from there. But overall, I do think that he will be able to elevate them. Overall, they did seem to have some success when J.J. McCarthy was able to put in work with his legs within the run game. So you can imagine what those Kyler legs are going to do rolling out of the pocket as well. Like I said, O'Connell's going to adjust. Justin Jefferson's there. You have a former Arizona Cardinal teammate in Byron Murphy Jr. that is going to lift the morale within the locker room and give Kyler Murray some familiarity. And probably even more important, if you watch the Kyler Murray press conference from earlier in the day, he's a Vikings fan. He grew up a Vikings fan. He talked about, watching Brett Favre's final year of his NFL career with the Minnesota Vikings, and that time that he threw the interception against the New Orleans Saints in that NFC playoff game, and how upset that made him. He's somebody that has grown around Minnesota and the Vikings franchise his whole life, and has followed them for pretty much his entire adolescence. So this is a guy that would want to be in Minnesota, is happy to be in Minnesota, and overall is in a pretty good space with the pieces that surround him. So to me, there is no way that this really messes up outside of Kyler potentially dealing with some nagging injuries again. But again, we saw some of the work that he did with an older DeAndre Hopkins. You give him the weapons that you have on the Minnesota Vikings offense, it might be game over. So let me know what you think about all of that down below in the comment section. Do you think that this deal can work out? Do you think that the Vikings are true Super Bowl contenders with Kyler Murray? Will they be re-signing him? How great will this offense be? Let me know about all of that down below within the comments section, as well as leaving a like on this video, sharing it with your friends, and make sure to subscribe to that channel. We are almost halfway to 300 total subscribers. Let's get there as fast as possible. And if you haven't already, go ahead and follow us on all social medias, that being TikTok, Instagram, and Twitter. All of those apps are going to be down below. We're on all of those social medias. You will get to see my latest reactions to breaking news within the NBA, the NFL, and combat sports, and you will never miss whenever the podcast decides to upload an episode. And without further ado, guys, that's all that I have for you guys today. I will see you guys on the next one. I hope that you guys have a great rest of your week, and peace.